take over. It's a matter of time. I think this format thing is kind of like I feel like right now most of the audience doesn't really care what you shot your film with, your movie with. They just want stories that kind of relate to them or engage them. So you could shoot your movie on 35, but if it's really crappy, it's going to be crap. It doesn't matter if you shoot it on 35 or you shoot it on HD or digital video. So I think most of the audience can't even tell if it's digital or 35 or HD. And even some of the people in the industry who worked years in the industry shooting film or HD couldn't tell sometimes if these are shot on HD or on 35. So I think this format barrier, sooner or later is kind of going to be gone, and be great. Because I believe that, to people here and elsewhere, I guess, the format is no longer the method. It's how you present, tell, direct your story. That's the most important thing.
Digital filmmaking. Many people could make film because it is the digital filmmaking. It has a certain benefits such as easy access or very economical. So thanks to digital filmmaking, new filmmakers have arisen in Malaysia, and these directors are very much popular in various international film festivals. So first, Mr. Ho Yung-han, will you tell us about how you make your film with digital film and how you deal with budget issue?
Hi, good evening everybody. Can I not answer your question that way? It sounds so serious.
So you want to answer
because later we've been discussing some pretty objective kind of things. Maybe I want to talk about something else. No, just joking. Maybe a little bit about how I started. Okay, you can translate. About how digital technology has facilitated the filmmaking, and it seems like digital technology is the one thing that saves us. I am not sure because all my life things happen accidentally to me. I'm an accident, It's my parents' fault that I was born because of a certain kind of accident. So in a way, I came into filmmaking accidentally. My generation, the people from my generation, I think they are lucky, or maybe I'm lucky because it was primary school, high school, very easy education. We didn't have to struggle. In some other countries, there were people who were even having problems going to school. But in my generation, people are lucky, and my life was kind of planned by my parents somewhat. Say, okay, I should go and study in the US, which I did. I was quite good at mathematics, so I did engineering. So I was studying electrical engineering. I had a degree, and when I graduated, I actually worked as an engineer for 2 years. I studied, I had good grades, I finished my education, I worked for a company. We manufactured things for sound processors for musicians. But I didn't want to continue to do that, not for the rest of my life. So one day I actually woke up and decided I'm going to quit my job. And I did. So after that it was I had a very strange time because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had wanted to try to shoot a movie, but it's not something that you could have a straight path. Like if you study engineering and you come out, you can work for a company and then you can go for a professional test and you can be a certified engineer and you just slowly climb and you do projects till the day you die. But it's not like that for filmmaking. So yeah, what should I do with my life now? I want to do so. And he said, okay, maybe you can work for, you can try work for a friend who produces TV commercials. So I went and then I started working as like a production assistant for a company, and they make TV commercials. So within the 2 to 3 years when I was working for them, I just picked up things. I see how a shooting was conceived. I could see how things work technically. So, and at the same time, I was also borrowing camera from friends, just try to do some shooting, some very simple experimental work. And then I guess I also didn't plan that because I wanted to do something different with my life, and I didn't know if it's gonna work out. An accident. It was again me, myself, and Yasin. We knew this friend who was working at a TV station. Not TV station, for a production house. He's also a director, and he was asked to find new directors to shoot something for TV. And then we were talking, we were just saying, you know, I had this story that I was very interested in, and he said, okay, I'm gonna give you the money to shoot it. Yeah, we were talking outside by the steps of the world's tallest building. Then highway beat it. It was at the Twin Tower. We remember outside the Twin Tower, we were just talking. And he said, okay, I'll find you the money. And that was how I made my first film. It was a TV movie with very low budget sort of thing, yeah.
예, 사실 제 첫 번째 영화도 완전 그 사고로 만들어졌다고 말씀드릴 수 있습니다. 저와 그 야스민, 저희가 둘 다 알고 있는 한 TV 방송국에서 일하는 친구가 있는데요. 우연히 그분이 새로운 그 TV를 위한 감독을 찾고 있다는 얘기를 들었습니다. 그래서 제가 저 이런 얘기를 좀 생각을 하고 있는데요 라고 말씀을 드렸더니 그거 괜찮은 아이디어네요. 저희가 돈 드리겠습니다. 한번 만들어 보십시오 라고 이렇게 제안을 한 겁니다. 그래서 아주 저예산으로 TV 영화를 만들게 되었습니다.
And after I finished the film, I actually thought this is really bad, and maybe that's the end of my not so interesting new career. So maybe I shouldn't continue this after I finish shooting that, because I think it's not so nice. And then I was applying for a workshop in France. So me and James, we wanted to try and go to the workshop. So this festival in France, the non-festival of 3 continents. So they asked if I had done anything. So I sent that TV work, which is really kind of not so nice to me. And they took it, and then they said, okay, we're gonna put your film in the competition, which was quite a shock to me.
And that was not festival.
Yes, so it was an accident. I didn't send them to put it in a competition or anything. I sent them just to be a reference, you know, just for them to take a look at what I have done and maybe consider me for a workshop. Yeah.
예, 사실 제가
The rest is history, and it's all in this book, which you can read. So, and I became famous, and I could continue to make 2 more films. So the first film was an accident. And the second film I made out of order, because after that I didn't know what to do, so I thought I should make another film. And James was my producer, because you know, you just call for friends to help you, because they could sometimes do for free. And that's why we exploit friends. And then I shot my second film that way, with very little money, a lot lesser than the first film. And my third film was also not really planned, it just sort of landed on my lap, because I had a story, and then I met this producer who said, okay, we're gonna give you money and let you shoot it. So it all happened that way. So my life is kind of a mess that way, because I never really consciously planned anything that way, but it's just that I meet some nice people. So connection is very important, I think. Like I know these people, like they're nice, and Pusan has been very nice. Because my second film came to Pusan, and after that I became even more famous. And also it's in the book. And yes, yeah, I don't think that I have a mission when I do all these films, but it's just that there are something that I wanted to do. There are some stories that I was very interested in. And sometimes I didn't know what I was doing, but I know that I was very focused in a way when I shoot the film. And until there was one time when you know, I started shooting, and my friends, all of us have started shooting, and the film has started traveling, and people have started writing about us. And it was I think in Tokyo when I meet the Japanese audience. When a lot of our films were showing, and I talked to some Japanese audience, and they were very confused. They were very confused. They come to me and say, "No, we saw Yasmin's film. They speak Malay, right?" I say, "Yes, but your film is not in Malay." I say, "Yeah, they're in mixed Chinese language." And we saw James' film, which is a bit different from my film, and very different from Yasmin's film, because they don't seem to dress in a certain like they don't seem to come from the same country. I say, "Yes, that's also true." And they also saw PIFF film. PIFF is another director who made this film about the Indian community. So, and then they see these Indian people in the film, and they were even more confused because now they see all kinds of people. So they say, "But is this Malaysia?" And then I say, "Yeah, but that's Malaysia. It's that way." And when I grew up in that place, it's very normal for me because I don't question these things. But to them, I think they have discovered something very interesting from a kind of confusion that I confirmed for them that yes, this is in fact our country. Yeah. Seriously, the Ministry of Tourism should give us money to make more films, because I think we become the ambassador of our country and we make Malaysia known this way. And the ministry has spent millions of dollars and they put up Visit Malaysia thing in the Wembley football stadium, and but I think we do a better job to show the world that this is how our country is, this is how our people are like, this is how we talk, this is the way we live. And I think it's, I went to so many countries and I talked to all these audiences, they were so enthusiastic about discovering a new place, I kind of think we have done a nice job. And the Ministry of Tourism owes us a dinner at least. Yeah.
Hello. This is my first time in Pusan. I've never been here before, and I was told by a Singaporean that Super Typhoon Kosra is on its way to Pusan as we are talking, so I'm a little bit scared. If Kosra is a super typhoon, then I think Malaysian cinema is just a little breeze right now in the world of cinema. I don't know how we can be sitting up here at such a prestigious festival to talk about our films. I feel a little bit embarrassed because I think we have a long way to go.
예, 먼저 제가 이렇게 부산 영화제 처음으로
I never really wanted to make films. Mind you, I never really wanted to do anything except sit at home and be someone's housewife. But for some reason, at some point, my parents took me when I was 6 years old to go and see Shintaro Katsu Satoichi. And so ever since then, I've enjoyed watching films. My parents would take, I was living in China for a while, and they would take me to see every film, including Japanese soft pornography. It was allowed back then in Malaysia. All my life, I've enjoyed watching films. I never had any intention of making them. But then I got into advertising, and that's why I met Yuhan, because he was a director to some commercial director. And we talked about films a lot. And when you're in advertising, at some point you start doing television commercials, and after a while, if there are directors that don't want to do the work, you will volunteer your services because you want to see a script get made. And my first taste of filmmaking, I suppose, was directing advertising script which I had written that I couldn't find a director for.
예, 제가 처음
After a few years of making commercials, my father fell ill. My parents are in their 70s and they're still very much in love. They dance and bathe together even in their 70s. And I think they still have sex, I'm not sure. So my father fell ill and I wanted to make something for him, a way of telling both my parents that I love them, because I realized then that parents are things that you could lose. I mean, you hear of your friends losing their parents, but you never think it'll happen to you. But when he fell really, really ill, it became a reality for me. And I panicked and I wanted to make a film. And I was sitting next to Yuhan on the steps of the tallest building, telling this film producer, TV drama producer, an idea for two very old people who are very much in love and still play together. So I made my first feature-length film, Rabon. We shot it in 6 days, and it ran on television. They only had money to shoot on video, but this was for my father. I didn't want to shoot on video, so we found money borrowed film and begged people, and we made on Super 16. Thanks, who would have thought that a film shot in 6 days about two silly-old people in love in a village would go places, but thanks to the efforts of people like Tak Cheong and Ami Muhammad and the interest of Roger Garcia from it was selected for competition in Torino. I was very happy. Apparently they received 1,000 films and they wanted to have a competition, so I was there. And I met Bong Joon-ho, who made Memories of Murder, and when I saw his film, I felt so proud to have my film in the same festival and competing with this fantastic film from Korea. Anyway, but I keep on making films, and after that my mother fell ill. She had a swollen heart, which is very common of women of her age. And it was water retentive, and I kid you not, we didn't know what to do. I was very scared. Dad got better, by the way, when I took him to Torino. Maybe it's true what they say. Psychologists say that if you make a person happy, you lengthen their lifespan, and they're more likely to get better. So mom's heart had expanded, and I was sitting around very worried. My producer said, why don't you make a film? And I said, you're a stupid, superstitious woman. You can't make a film and cure people. Dad was just lucky. So I made Sebet, my second film, which I think Korea hasn't seen yet. But it won the grand prize of the jury in Créteil, in France, small women directors festival, and subsequently it won Best Asian Film in Tokyo, which is not a small festival, and I was so happy. We shot it in 12 days, and my mom was so happy to go up on stage in Créteil, and Dad was crying in the audience, and she stood in front of me and hid me from the audience, and she was waving with a bouquet of roses, which was meant for me. But it was the proudest moment of my life, and her heart is no longer water retentive, so I can't stop making films. And I swear to God, this is true. I pray every day and ask that I be given the strength and idea to make films that could make my parents very happy and very proud. And maybe that if they're happy that I can have them for a little bit longer. I may die before them for all I know with Typhoon Khosrow coming here. But this is my intention. And Muxin, I'm afraid my parents didn't come with me. But I wish they did, because my last film Muxin won 2 prizes in Berlin. And this is my proudest moment in my entire career, and they couldn't be there. I'm very angry with them, and they said, do you want us to spend 15 hours traveling, or do you want us to spend 15 hours praying for your film? And so I said, okay, you can stay and pray for my film. So I'm about to release another one. My films get rejected by some festivals, and then we will try by other festivals, and really, we should make films for festivals. We make films so that people in Korea and in Berlin and in Yogyakarta and in Manila can see our film in Japan and say, my God, these Malaysians, these little people in this small country, they fall in love and they fall out of love, they have hope and they get desperate, they feel hurt, just like everyone else in the world. And if you feel like that about people that you don't know, then it's much harder to hate them, it's much harder to drop bombs on them. And so I think my parents will continue to make films, and just to see people in Pusan saying, I really felt something when I saw this. And this is my partner in crime, and he's been in almost all my films, and he put me in his films, but he makes me do dirty sexual things in his films. And I hope you wish Malaysian filmmakers like us luck, because we're very new. I don't think we're very good yet, but hopefully we get there.
So you said that we know that your first feature film is in the competition section of this is PIFF. So would you tell us about your film and about your filmmaking?
Hi everyone. I won't go on telling you guys how I started making films, and it's not so interesting. It's just like everybody else. To be able to come to Pusan and the film is my first feature is being accepted here in the competition. It's one of the biggest achievements in my life. 2 big achievements in my life. First, I reached puberty, and second is this one. Well, it's a good thing to be a filmmaker in Malaysia because you're not lonely. You don't do it alone. You have a group of friends always supporting you. I guess that way encourages us to make films and keep on making films, whether short or long. Friends like this and filmmakers that you see coming from Malaysia these few years are not just that we are just part of it. There are actually more people making films and starting to make films in back home. My film, my first feature, I have done a couple of short films. I've been working with other filmmakers like those sitting here. My first feature, the script for how I started writing my this first feature film is also supposed to be a telemovie, a movie for television, a script for television, but somehow the deal didn't work out, and I decided to shoot it with my friends. And of course, it's a digital film because of the budget constraint, and also because digital is very easy. I can tell you that I edited my film at home in my bedroom, because easy as in it's you can do it anywhere. You can have the software, you can buy the software, you can install it in your home PC, and you can edit a film out of it. Well, most of us started by accident, really, because we didn't plan to be a film director in the first place. It's because most of us, we like watching films very much. And then to an extent that we want to try to make a movie. Well, it's like a cook must love eating before he or she become a cook, because you really need to love what you do. So we all love watching films, and we are really into films, and when we get together we talk about films a lot. Yeah, no life, we have no life, and we have not that many friends, just few of us. Speak for yourself.
예, 사실 저희가 이 영화 감독이
Being a Malaysian, a filmmaker in Malaysia, it's fun because there's a lot of possibilities in filmmaking, a lot of stories to tell, because we are a multi-racial country. We speak different languages, a variety of different food from different races. So there are a lot to write about. And those films that you see coming, traveling in festivals, they are stories about, they are simple stories. They are stories that in my case, for me, I write to express myself, to not to please the audience, to express myself so that maybe some people out there, they can relate to it.
예, 사실 말레이시아에서 영화를 만드는 일은
I just want to say that if you take that line, he never reached puberty.
Yeah, thank you, good night. Well, I think you guys must have questions to ask. I don't want to be begging here, so let's take it up.
And I'm very happy to be here with Malaysian directors. And I know that Malaysian cinema has been widely acclaimed from not only PIFF but also from various international film festivals. And one of the reasons is Malaysia has numerous culture and numerous people, numerous races. And Mr. Wang Tok-chang said that some Malaysian people say if the film is not made by Malaysian language, then it is not Malaysian film. So let's say Chinese Malaysian don't like to see Malay film, and let's say Indian Malaysian people don't like to watch Chinese film. So I think they are all Malaysian people, but Indian Malaysian or Chinese Malaysian or Malaysian people, there was some discrimination among the Malaysian people. So first I want to know why such situation is happening in Malaysia. And my second question is, Mr. Ho Yoo-hang, you mentioned that the tourism ministry has supported new Malaysian cinema directors. But I heard that finance supported financially only 1/10 to filmmaking. So I want to know the different position between the tourism ministry and finance.
Yeah, actually it's not so much a question of discrimination as the fact that in Malaysia we are people of different races, Malaysians, Indians, Chinese are free to practice our own languages, our own culture. So naturally films made using the Malay language normally attract Malay viewers, but this doesn't mean that Chinese and Indians don't go and see them. I mean, very fewer by comparison. So it's more, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I think you misunderstood me a bit because it was meant as a joke that I say that the Ministry of Tourism should support us because we have done such a good job in promoting my country. Because they spend a lot of money doing many things outside the country, and still people don't understand the face of our country. So that's why I said that maybe the Ministry of Tourism should pay us the money to make films. Of course, finance is a film body that is supposed to support the making of Malaysian films, but I didn't talk about that. But anyway, I think it was a misunderstanding.
Mr. Montoshan said about a little bit about censorship. So in this year's PIFF, I watched a film called Village People Radio Show. I liked it very much, and I heard that the film was banned by the Malay government. And I want to know in what extent and in what reason films are banned in Malaysia, and in the Malaysian directors or Malaysian film scene, how do you react to the censorship by the government?
Well, the censorship policies in Malaysia are a bit strict. I mean, they are more strict in terms of religion, sex, nudity, language. Violence, not so much. We love violence. And so, but in this particular case, the banning of Amir's two films, The Last Communist and Village People Radio Show, was very unfortunate because they were non-issues. I mean, Amir's first film, The Last Communist, the first one that was banned, is about an ex-communist, the former Secretary General of the Malayan Communist Party, who is living in exile in Thailand, and the film, he didn't appear in the film, and the film is just about his background. I mean, Amir interviews his people in his hometown and so on. And the second film is about Amir goes back to South Thailand to interview people, again, ex-communists, in this case mainly Malay ex-communists who are now living in exile in South Thailand. So both films are about communists, ex-communists. And the reason I say it's a non-issue is because communism is dead, and apparently it's not dead in Malaysia. A combination of factors in Malaysia brought about the banning, mainly because it happened to be the 60th anniversary of the founding of the main political party in Malaysia. And people thought that why make a film about these people, and I mean about Chin Ping, the former head of the Malayan Communist Party, when we are celebrating this event and so on. And then the sensitivities of politicians and the fact that the government, it is mainly about sensitivity. I mean, there's no earthly reason why the film should be banned, and appeals to no effect, and it just carried on. And the second film is like a sequel to the first one, also got banned because it wouldn't stand the reason that the second one would be passed and not be banned because the first one had already been banned. It's a very sad situation, and it raises the question also, if films are banned in a country and they get shown overseas in foreign festivals and so on, does this legitimize the films? Does this make the country proud? Would the government, for example, support it at international events? So very interesting questions, which I don't think we are able to resolve yet, although we are supposed to be politically very mature people.
It's called Malaysian God. We're not sure what it's about. He came very tightly for no reasons. But I just want to kind of add something about censorship. This is my point of view about, I think censorship is kind of like same all over the place, in all the world, with the government institution and kind of like very powerful, and sometimes they don't even give reasons and always appeal and try to resolve it from the filmmaker. I think it's kind of like sometimes a waste of time, because I think with censorship, to me, I know it's kind of weird. Sometimes I think it challenges the filmmaker. It makes you think. It makes you deal with it. How are you going to present your film? How are you going to get away with it? It doesn't mean now we kind of dissolve the censorship or kind of like it become more lax, we can make better films. But I guess I kind of enjoy Malaysian censorship because every time before we kind of write, shoot, kind of need to deal with them and we need to think. And I think back to the fact that the way we work on digital video kind of gives us a lot of leeway. We can shoot a lot, we can shoot how we want to shoot it and represent it. So yeah, that's my opinion on censorship in Malaysia.
Talking about censorship, my film is passed with 4 cuts, right? And I'm happy with the cuts because that gives me a bit, that allows me to be playful. Because there's one scene which I think is ridiculous, that the cut is when the calling of azan, when the azan is calling, azan is it's a Muslims call for prayers. They announce it twice in a day, and that scene, my scene was shot in the evening when the azan is calling. You can hear it from the mosque, and the scene is you can see one of the kids holding a puppy walking down the stairs, and they asked me to remove the azan because they see a puppy in the scene, which is ridiculous. So I won't remove the azan because the dialogue is recorded with the background sound. So if I remove the azan, I will remove there's no dialogue anymore. So I decided to pixelize the whole dog. So you see a moving thing descending the stairs, and that for me can be very funny. So censorship is good. And also one of the scenes being cut is a bathing scene between the kids, and one of the kids' private part is erected. So I'm asked to cut that out, and I refuse to, so I pixelize the whole private part. So a moving pixelated take. That can be very funny. Or one reason, maybe it's an excuse. They say there's no blood in the movie. They want to see blood. Well, judging from the title, The Last Communist, they expect communists to be bad guys and to be killed, and there's bloodshed and gunfights and all that. But then the film is about a documentary about retired communist soldiers living in the village, and retired and just waiting to die, planting vegetables, move on with their lives. That's the movie about.
When I was first sent to the censorship for release in Malaysia, it was actually passed by the censorship. It was even screened by the police. It was banned by a minister from the government department, internal affairs. So, and the problem was they didn't even watch the documentary. They just banned it based on the name, The Last Communist. So it was very, like I said, when the government operates, it doesn't really have reasons.
예, 사실 이 레스트 커뮤니스트라는 영화가 처음에는
Ministers in Malaysia. Do you have such things in Korea?
예, 상당히 저희 정부기관들은 말도 된 멍청한 정부기관이라고 생각하는데요. 한국의 사정은 어떤지 궁금합니다.
저희는 검열이 따로 있는 건 아니고요. 저희는 등급제.
So Korea, we don't have a certain censorship system, but we have a grading system. So if a film is graded to a certain level, then the film should be screened only certain cinema. But let's say like hardcore porno, then the film should be screened only certain theater. But we don't have this theater, so in that way, we don't have censorship system, but we have certain system to ban a film
谈的结果意思是
Separated. It's like my film mostly Chinese, you know, and then sometimes Malay film is just Malay, Indian film is just Indian. I think it kind of proved that her film, I mean, it's not to say that's very good, but kind of like could attract, kind of like could manage to tell a story and attract the three different races. But that also, I need to point out, those people who watch Jasmine's film actually are more well educated. They come from a different background. Whereas those who tend to separate it by the race, especially the Malay who watch Malay films only, they will watch Hong Kong and Hollywood films. They kind of like below like working class, and they don't receive a lot of education. So I think that's the whole thing about how audience watch a film these days is the class and the education.
예, 먼저 물론 뭐 인도계나 중국계나 뭐 말레이시아 이런 세 다 민족을 한 영화에 I question goes to Miss Yasmin Ahmad, and I enjoyed your film Motion, and I felt I could share the same sentiment from the film from Malaysian people with Korean people. And there's one scene that in raining, the daughter and mother, they danced together, and the scene was quite marvelous to me. And so it was also good to see a Malaysian female filmmaker is made to make film from the perspective of female filmmaker. So are you planning to make more films from the women's perspective and dealing with female issues? Are you planning to make such films?
I've just made a film about two Muslim girls and their friendship with a Catholic young man. I suppose it is about the Catholic young man, but it's through the eyes of the girls. Maybe it might come here next year. Please come see. It's called Mala. But it's already caused some objections from newspapers and authorities because I shaved one of the actresses bald, and they say this is very un-Islamic. So hopefully it'll be allowed.
In Malaysia, filmmakers are not lonely because you can work together. Then can you tell us the process of working together, how you work together in Malaysia?
Like James said earlier, we exploit each other. Yeah, he said that you have. No, we sleep together. We help in each other in terms of not just production itself, but we also cast them as actors, and we don't pay them or we don't pay them much. And hopefully, next time they have another project, they will use. They will come back and say, "Hey, it's your turn to pay back." We help each other in that way. I lend you my hand, and next time you will help me back. A collective process.
And so to do this, of course, we lend each other cameras so that people don't have to pay rent. We acted each other's films for very little. My mother was missing that film. I think she got paid something like $5 US. She's such an exploiter. But and then James helps produce and acts as cameraman to a Sarodi short film, which won Best Short Film Grand Prix in Hawaii. So, and this is like-minded people. We knock each other's films all the time. It's almost well known that James and I generally don't like each other's films. But it doesn't stop us from collaborating and helping each other, and half the time we're joking about each other's films anyway. And I don't know how it became this way. There was an Italian festival's curator who came to Malaysia about 2 years ago, and he said, "So what is this Malaysian New Wave?" And I said, "How do you know there's a new wave?" He said, "It happened in Korea, it happened in Thailand. Whenever there is a new wave, what happens is there are about 3 or 4 like-minded film directors. They're usually friends, and they're doing interesting things together, and that's the new wave." And he said that you guys in Malaysia, you have about 10 to 12 people, so more than qualifies as a new wave. So that made me feel very happy.
예, 사실 저희 모두 다 친구고.
This whole thing about helping out each other, I think because first of all, our community is very small in Malaysia, and second of all, it was I think in 2000. Basically, in 2000, nobody wants to produce any film or independent or TV film or any film that has no commercial value at all. Like the one that's traveling in our festivals now, by most of us, basically had no commercial or market value at all, and most of the time we understand and know about that. Until I think when I kind of tried to touch that, I met some Indonesian filmmakers Pusan and Mira this month. I think they were focused in Pusan before. And I think at that time they were doing a very interesting thing in Indonesia where they actually helped produce young Indonesian filmmakers first feature or short film. And the condition is those filmmakers have to contribute back to other films in whatever way they could do. You know, editing, acting, and that kind of cut down the cost and become very collective. And I think that was time me and Amir thought, why don't we kind of do that? You know, take out some time and actually physically do some work, produce and get it out, get it shown. You know, and then hopefully from there the numbers would multiply. So I guess that was how it all started because of influence of how another neighboring country was doing it first. Because I think it may be harder for countries that's big. Because when it's big, you got a lot of community, you got a lot of politics, and you got a lot of separations.
We make about 30, the whole country makes only about 30 films a year at the most, 20 something. And out of the 30, about 20 will be mainstream, and half of them will be successful and half of them will not. The new so-called new cinema has just gotten inroads into, apart from one small digital cinema in Kuala Lumpur, they're also getting into television, which is good, I think. Like James and Louis' films and my films have gone on television. TV stations bought them as part of a showcase of art films, I suppose. My own film, Mokshin, was also this hit. So I'm very happy about that.
We also continue with, except for Yasmin, most of us lose money big time. Yeah, I have to kind of fork out money to release my film and it's lose money big time. It shows not very popular with local audience and we understand why they still want to watch films that entertain them, very straightforward. I guess this whole phenomenon can't be resolved. You know, it won't be resolved. I think it's happening all over the world. And I don't know about the rest of the filmmakers in Malaysia doing all the small indie films. I guess most of them will continue. And personally, I think when we lose money, doesn't mean we have to stop. You know, doesn't mean we'll stop just because it's bad business. I guess personally, I think even with all this bad response from local audience and box office, I think me personally will continue to make films, our personal films, because I think it's very important for a country like Malaysia to retain at least something that is very original and our own. You know, because even our mainstream film is starting to look like Korean and Hollywood films. So yeah.
사실 이 뉴 말레이시안 시네마 같은 경우에는요,
I do want to make action films. Personal action films.
You know what?
Action films. I like action films.
Not the actor.
What's that?
You are much better to the director and not for the actors.
Me?
Yes.
I don't.
저희한테 영화 보냈는데.
Beginning of my film is on Wednesday. 9 o'clock in the morning, so please do drop by and have a look at it. And when the film finishes, I will be there. When the film finishes, I'll perform some tap dancing for you.
제가 마지막으로 한 가지 공지를 드리겠는데요.